do a screencast talking about the Sea to Summit Trail up to Cone Peak here. I'm going to talk a little bit about the trail conditions and what it was like to trail run it yesterday, November 11th, 2021. So this is the segment on Strava. Averaged about 16.5-minute miles. Definitely slowed down at the end. Go back to the overview. It's about just under 25 miles. Moving time was 7 hours. Elapsed time was close to 9 hours, though. I've exported this as a GPX file, which I'm going to import into Gaia GPS, and then export as a KML so we can pop it into Google Earth. All right, so we can see this Cone Peak rises 5,000, just over 5,000, 5,157 feet above the ocean. And it's pretty neat. If you start down here at Kirk Creek, you can hike through the campground down to the ocean, start right at the ocean. So that's what we did. Started at 6:30 a.m., finished in the afternoon. I'm going to go ahead and export this as a KML file that Google Earth can read, and we'll pop into there, take a better look. Alright, so this is our trail system here. There's the summit, here's the top, there's Ferguson Road and Highway 1. So scrolling down, you can see where we started by just touching the ocean, being careful, watching the waves. The ocean's always dangerous. Hiking up this creek here. Trail here is actually in pretty good condition, but lots of poison oak, so be careful. Wish I would have worn long pants, and I actually didn't treat my gear with permethrin, and I wish I would have, because you're going to touch a lot of vegetation on this trail, and there are ticks that carry Lyme disease in this area. So through the campground onto the proper trail system after stopping at the car real quick to lock it up. So let's show the elevation profile. That's going to pop us out into this big view again. This is a big climb, and we can see that Google Earth is reading it as bigger gains and losses than Strava. Strava recorded about 1,000 less, so it's showing 7,500 feet of gain, or let's call it 7,600 gain, with a max slope of 41% and an average slope of 11%. So zooming in at the start here, it starts out pretty steep and then gets a little more gentle as you contour around this peak. One thing that was surprising was there wasn't any water where these drainages here, here, here across the trail. You could hear some water in this drainage, but it wasn't accessible easily from the trail. So the first water we actually encountered was in mile 4. So past the Espinosa camp. Let's see here. Where's mile 4? Right there. So in this drainage. Overall, we can see this is a pretty good drainage right here. This trail segment's in very good condition. Just a little bit of deadfall, and they're generally bigger pieces of deadfall here that take a little more work to cut out. That said, if you have a small handsaw, you might be able to do a little bit of volunteering and just clear some of the smaller stuff off the trail proper. Continuing on to Vicente Flat Camp, we only saw a couple people camping there. Pass through. From here going more east, the trail follows the creek bed, and conditions start to deteriorate a little bit. Navigation's a little tricky, which is what you can see going on here. We actually got lost because if you're just walking the trail navigates up this fork of the creek, when in fact the trail goes this way to the southeast. So we got a little lost there. One thing to keep in mind is just when you cross the creek in this area, start looking for rock cairns under the canopy. You can't see them from Google Earth, and then you just follow the rock cairns. And the trail is, pretty much been destroyed by high flows in this creek and debris flow. So it just follows the creek bed, which is very low right now as of this recording. That could change, right? It's a wilderness area. And so you follow the creek up. Let's see here. And the trail gets very steep here between mile 5 and mile 7. It's definitely the crux. So when you leave the trail, the conditions are still pretty bad. You're crawling over deadfall. This area did burn. You can see some of the burn. Fortunately, it was a moderate burn, so the crowns of these redwoods are still all intact. Most of them survived, which is very nice. However, a lot of the plants around the trail are now covering it, and they've fallen on the trail. So small handsaw could go a long way. If everybody who hikes this cut one tiny dead tree or bush that's blocking the trail and move that off the trail, we could get this trail back in better condition pretty quickly. So continuing through this redwood stand, the trail climbs, and as I said, the conditions are just yellow. They're pretty bad. Not red, but definitely Los Padres yellow. These miles aren't going to go easy like if you were in Yosemite. When the trail continues climbing out of the redwood stand here into this burn area, conditions are actually a little bit better. This burn helped clear vegetation and probably did some just good work for the ecosystem. There still is there's less downfall in tree trail clearing that needs to be done in contrast to this redwood stand here, but there's still work that would help. Hitting the ridge line, the trail continues through the burn area up to, looks like that's an old historical trail mark. Up here towards the road. Hitting the road, there was actually a wheelbarrow, might still be in this image on this photo, kind of like right there, and it was full of water. Oh, actually, sorry, that's on top of this ridge. It was over here. Trail's in good condition from here down, and yeah, all this stuff is fairly recently burned. I'm not 100% sure when it burned. So the road, great condition for hiking, biking. There was someone had done some bike packing on it. We saw a bike trail on there, and yep, you can see that San Antonio trail going to where it goes down over that way. There's the Arioseco Indian Road over to the east. And of course, we continued on the road, gradually climbing up to this Cone Peak Trailhead. And that's where things got challenging again. So Cone Peak Trailhead, this area burned and is, very challenging to try and trail run up this. It's actively revegetating. I don't think this area has gotten a lot of use due to closure from COVID pandemic, and then it was closed for the fire fighting effort. The fire's officially out from the rain we got, and then this access road is closed to vehicles right now. So not a lot of people using this trail system. You got to do a lot more work to access it, and post fire and post rain, it's actively revegetating. So just a lot of work needs to be done to get it from yellow to green. And I think I would empower everybody who goes on this trail system to take their garden clippers and just clip a little bit of the vegetation that's growing over the trail to clear it back a little bit. A little bit goes a long way. Same with a small handsaw. This west face of Cone Peak proper, there's a lot of loose debris, and there's been a lot of landslides that have come through here. So just be careful crossing those trail segments. They've taken out the trail, and you'll be fine. This last segment up to the summit, it's in solid condition and pretty fun to hike. So and then going back, it's just the reverse of how you came. This was an up and back, and a lot harder on the knees. Oh man, my left knee was killing me on the descent, especially through this crux section. So that's the conditions report, and a little talk through of how our day went. Hope people enjoyed watching this. One other note about water: we filled water here at Vicente Creek, and that was basically the only water where the trail leaves the creek from the summit and back down. So just be to Vicente Creek again. So just be cautious with your water, even in the winter, definitely in the summer. Make sure you have a lot. Hope this helps the outdoor community and the trail stewards of this region. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.